Welcome to the Tyneside Irish Cultural Society podcast with me, Michael McNally. Hi everyone. In this era of COVID-19, isolation for many and social distancing for all, we wanted to keep you in touch and connected with what's going on in the Tyneside Irish Cultural Society. We felt that producing a podcast would be a good way to achieve this. The aim is to give you a magazine-type format with interviews, music and the latest news to keep you connected. I have to say, I was overjoyed when I was asked to do this, and I hope that you're going to find the end product entertaining and informative. I was keen to find out what's been going on during lockdown, and I thought there's only one man who will have all the answers. Mr. Tony Corcoran.
Things have been happening, yes, because I think possibly we're a little bit slow off the mark, but I mean about the middle of April, about 3 weeks into the lockdown, I had a phone call from the Irish Embassy in London, and they said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, we're locked down." And the first secretary said, "Well, the government here has some funds. You shouldn't be locked down. You should be trying to keep your community together." And so that's what we put together, a scheme to try and keep the community together and to try and keep in touch, especially with the older members of the community. And so I drew up a committee and we got a bit of funding, and we've ended up forming a thing called the North East Irish Network. And I'm pleased to say we've got people now, organisations down as far as Middlesbrough and Stockton-on-Tees and Darlington. And so our reach is going over to Cumbria, up into Berwick-on-Tweed and down as far as the leafy parts of North Yorkshire. And
that's amazing.
What we've been doing is we've been producing a newsletter, which is online, of course, but I insisted we post it out because I think older people and even younger people like to get something that they can put down, have a cup of tea and read it. And it's gone to 12 pages, and we've got all kinds of people writing for it. I mean, Brian McNally from the Sunday Mirror has done the sports page for us, the football page for us every fortnight. And we're into our 5th issue coming up. We're going to do 6th. And that's been posted now to over 400 people in the Northeast, Irish pensioners and members of the Irish community, second generation people. But we're in touch with over 300 Irish born pensioners in the Northeast, which and we've traced people, well, to be bizarre about it, you know, I got a phone call from a very famous man in Irish music, Joe Burke, who was one of the great accordion players from County Galway. And Joe rang me and said, "How's my friend Paddy Collins getting on?" And to tell you the truth, Michael, I didn't know whether Paddy Collins was alive or dead. And I had seen him 12 months ago, but the man is 91 and we found him alive. And we put him in touch with other Irish people, and he's getting a regular bit of support, and he's delighted to have it. And Joe knows he's alive and well and can write him a letter, and that's fine.
Absolutely fantastic. Yeah, that's great. Tony, I've got a little copy of the Irish news there.
Oh, you've got it.
Irish
community news, yes.
It's absolutely brilliant. It is. I mean, there are elements in it. I mean, I love the thought that we're doing this podcast really to keep people connected too. But, you know, there are elements in there which are tremendous. And if we were to do another podcast in the future, I would use elements from the community news. That you've got like good news, bad news, and even better news. And I love that. I love that. You know, it's such an Irish way to do it. And it makes you smile because you just get over the bad news. Let's have some better news. I love it. It's positive. Glass is always half full. And I love that about it. But there's some amazing stuff. And as you say, Brian McNally, great. My namesake. I've got my McNally couple of bombs on there.
Brian McNally, yes.
Fantastic guy and a brilliant journalist. He's an encyclopedic knowledge of football in the North.
Yeah, well, we've got, I mean, John Anderson's on board with us now, the BBC Radio Newcastle Irish commentator. And of course, as soon as you get the two of them on board, then we get Phelim McLaughlin, the rugby player. He's written his memoir in there. He's a County Galway man. Phelim is famous. He played for Northern in rugby union, and he was famous as trying to get into a club in Dublin one night, and he said to them, "You've got to let me in because me and my brother have over 50 caps for Ireland." It was true. His brother Ray had 50 caps and Phelim had one.
I like it. Superb. Well, it's a fantastic thing. How can people actually get a hold of this? You know, I know you're posting it out.
It is online at TynesideIrishCentre.com.
That's brilliant. I'd recommend
it. It's online there, and if people want a copy, you know, we'll post it out if they get in touch with us via the website or just write to the Irish Centre in Newcastle. I mean, people write to me all kinds of ways. I got a letter from Ireland. It said Tony Corcoran next to the bus station, Newcastle. And I got it last Christmas. The bus station's been knocked down 20 years.
Incredible.
We've still got it.
Amazing. So must be an Irish postman.
Really good.
Must be some Irish postmen around in Newcastle.
Yeah.
Right, Tony, the Irish Centre itself. Today is the 5th of July. It's an important day because it's your birthday. Right?
My birthday, yes, but I don't call them birthday anymore. Call them bonus days.
I like it. Well, happy bonus day. Right?
Thanks very much.
And yesterday, a lot of bars did reopen. I know you've been extremely busy because I mean you've been writing a lot in this magazine as well. I mean, there's loads of stuff. The two things that I wanted to ask you about: the Irish Centre. And also about the education classes which have continued online recently, and what's happening with them.
Well, the Irish Centre, we are going to open as soon as we can open reasonably but safely. We did try to open on the 4th, but when we looked at the details of the risk assessment, we weren't able to fully conform with them. So I'm hoping that we will open sometime in July, but I don't want to commit myself yet until we've done that. People are spending a fortune on the risk assessment to keep people safe. We don't really have an outside area where people can congregate. So, and we at the moment we can't put live music on, and that's such a big part of our offering. Our education classes, yes, in the Cultural Society, we've been running education classes. Our Irish language classes have continued. And our unlikely hit in the education classes is our medieval Irish history.
I love it.
It's
I've got my coat of arms on.
It's a history of St. Patrick and the people who came after him. What was the song? So good they made it twice. Was that New York, New York? So good they made it twice. Yeah, well, St. Patrick apparently was the same. So good they made him twice. He was doing so well that another St. Patrick had to succeed him. And sometimes they say there were 6 St. Bridgets as well. I don't know, but there were certainly more than one St. Patrick. And David Byrne, from again another Galway man who lives in Durham, he's been doing that class, and because it's online on Zoom, I think, and it's going out all over the world, and he's got students in Canada and the United States. Unfortunately, we can't collect the class fees at the moment.
You do it through PayPal? Can be done through PayPal?
That's PayPal, yes, we will. We'll get round to it. We'll get round to it. And our music classes have continued online with Gemma. Gemma Telford, the accordion player. Gemma, smashing young tutoress that we've got. And God knows we've had drama classes still going. And probably other classes that I've forgotten about, that I shouldn't have forgotten about.
It's tremendous that that's ongoing. It keeps people in touch. I mean, we're hoping that this podcast is going to go out and as many people as possible can see it and realise that there are links to the Irish Centre and to the Cultural Society, through the magazine, through the education, and it's another way of keeping people informed as to when things will open up and people can get back and share some quality time together, which everybody's been missing. Tony, I'm going to have to end it just about there, but I want to say a huge thank you for your time because I know how much you put in. And on behalf of the community, I know, as always, people are grateful, and I want to say a huge thank you to you, and I really appreciate all that you do. And I know I did ask if you fancy playing a bit of fiddle, and I know you haven't played for a while, so no pressure on that one. We'll not worry about it.
I'll play a little tune if you want.
Will you? Yeah. Oh, that's absolutely brilliant.
Don't ask me what it's called because I haven't made my mind up yet.
Well, you played at my wedding and you were absolutely fantastic. I was actually going to see if I could find a bit of video of that if you didn't play it.
We'll play a little jig, Michael.
Oh,
and you can fade out on this. Is that all right?
Fantastic, Tony. Thank you
very much. In the heather, probably.
Always a pleasure to talk to Tony Corcoran. Recently I became aware of a band called the Celtic Social Club. They started off their UK national tour last year at the Irish Centre in Newcastle and were a huge success. I had the pleasure of having a conversation with frontman, extremely talented man, Dan Donnelly. You're from Belfast originally, and I know you were in a band that was quite successful called Watercress, but they had very humble beginnings, I believe.
We did, yeah. We started off pretty much as buskers and then won a Battle of the Band competition and just took things from there and really made a few recordings, started to tour, built it up organically till we were playing all over the world, yeah.
Absolutely tremendous. And I know that was back in the 90s, wasn't it? But then when that band sort of split, you went off to New York and continued.
I did, yeah. We played a lot in New York because, we did the New York Guinness Flies and then the Boston Flies. And I didn't want to go to America. When our manager told us we were going to America, I was like, I hate Americans. I was like a, sort of left-wing vegan socialist. I was like, I don't want to go to America. And I realized that what we perceive as America is not, the coasts are much cooler than the middle of it. The middle of it's horrific.
Yeah, well, we'll not get on to Trump because we could probably spend a good. I just think it's the most bizarre situation I've ever come across. I cannot fathom it. I'm obsessed with him, and that's the end of Trump. I'm not talking about him anymore.
The one sentence that sums it up for me is, do you know the way that that like reality TV show hosts president of the United States, and he's asking people in America to inject themselves with bleach? That just sums up how weird this whole year is. Like if you said that to somebody last, 2 years ago, that have said, this is some weird dream.
Absolutely, and it's like a nightmare, really. I just hope we all wake up soon and it's all over. I mean, the other thing that, the coronavirus has obviously had a massive impact in New York and they've had to deal with that, but it's worldwide. How's it impacted on you currently with the work that you've been doing?
At the minute, I'm just really worried about live music. My main worry is it's so far down on the priority of the government that, they're kicking the can down the road. Like everything else, pubs are opening, but you're not allowed to sing. You're allowed to get on an airplane with 150 people and breathe recycled air and travel for 2 hours, but you're not allowed to go to a gig. You're not allowed to sing. You're allowed to go and get drunk now, but you're not allowed to sing. And if they kick it down on and say it returns in September, then once it gets colder, if everything shuts down again, be no music industry. Like everyone's going to have to get a job, and like the music industry was bad enough because of streaming. Basically, if the Beatles were to try to make Rubber Soul now, they would lose money. there wouldn't be able to. There would be no Beatles if the Beatles were to try to survive, because they didn't tour. So you're at a situation now where people can't tour and people make no money off records. So there, at the minute, there's literally no money in music until we can play live again. Yes. So, you know, the amount of bands that just may not happen, or the amount of albums that may not happen, just due to just the lack of money. It's a serious situation. I'll be okay. I'll be fine. I own a venue. I don't have a massive overhead. I've made an album during lockdown, but you know, young bands starting out and stuff like that, it's going to be really hard for them. It's going to be really hard.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Next year, everyone's going to want a gig. The venues are, a lot of the venues are going to shut down, and they're all going to be inundated. Every single musician's been not earning for half this year, so it's going to be tough.
It's a real worry for a lot of people, and you know, not just in the music industry, but you know, actors as well. It's very, very tough for them too. So everyone in the arts, and you know, this is our culture. This is what you know. If we don't have our arts, we've got nothing. You know,
we are a virus on the earth. Without, all we do is eat shit and consume oil. Without arts, that's all we are, is a horrible rash on the earth. The only saving grace of humankind is the beauty of things that they've created, like Sgt. Pepper's or the Mona Lisa, or you know, or Silence of the Lambs, or whatever. I think that arts are humanity's only saving grace. Yet everyone takes it for granted. Everyone's sitting at home watching Netflix, consuming music, consuming art with actors. Yet nobody's going, right, we need to look after these people or they're not going to be here. You know, and they will not. A load of them won't be here. They'll be driving Amazon delivery vans next year if we're not careful.
Absolutely.
You know?
It's serious. Seriously, is a worry for all of us. Let's get back on with your music career. You've been in some amazing bands like the Levelers, Oyster Band, the Wonder Stuff. You know, fantastic CV.
The Levelers are like someone just posted their there's a speaking of the music industry, there's a thing starting today called Let the Music Play, and everyone's posting the last gig that they went to. Someone just posted John Sevink from the Levelers and I doing Paradise City by Guns N' Roses in a club in Somerset. The Levelers are like my big brothers. I've known them since I was a kid. I toured with them with Watercress when I was maybe 19. We supported them, and I've kept you know, in touch with them ever since. You know, I phone them on their birthdays, they phone me. You know, it's great. And whenever I was in the Wonder Stuff and would sometimes play together, it was great. It was like having my big brothers around, like that. You know, I could go into their dressing room and get a bit of respite from the Wonder Stuff.
Awesome. Now, last year in May, you came and played the Irish Centre with a fantastic band, the Celtic Social Club, which you're fronting. Yeah. And I think it was your first UK gig with the band.
It was their first UK gig, yeah. And it wasn't my first UK gig. It was my first UK gig with them and their very first UK gig. And they loved it. They loved the Tyneside Irish Centre. It was great, you know, because they love our culture. They love especially Irish culture, you know. And in France, French people think that the UK and Ireland has got more kudos than France. So they just loved coming over, and they loved seeing. They're used to playing big festivals. So to go into a little club like the Tyneside and like feel the sweat and have people like in your face, and then Tony got up and played a song with us, and they just couldn't believe this, you know, 70-year-old guy got up with a fiddle and knew how to, and he was blistering, he played along. It was a great night, really great night.
Tremendous. I've been looking at some of the videos on YouTube, and I would recommend anybody who hasn't seen the band to check them out, because they're, I think, absolutely brilliant. Fantastic track, Remember Joe Strummer, which you've written and you performed superbly. It's a great video. One of my heroes. What was the inspiration for the song?
It was the Joe Strummer's Glastonbury. I used to go to Glastonbury a lot when I was a kid, and Joe Strummer always was hanging out at Glastonbury at a fire, and it would be a great place to go. And you were in the presence of one of your heroes, you know, great man. and it was a really generous vibe, and it was a jam. People gathered around. It was cool, really cool. And that the name of the album, From Babylon to Avalon, came from that Joe Strummer song, and which is it's being released in the UK soon with Kitchen Disco Records. We've just put out a new single, Pauper's Funeral. That was filmed. My bit was filmed in Wall's End in a graveyard. Yeah.
Great video as well. Another great song. I made some notes when I watched it. It's dynamic. It's original. It was perform a massive dynamism. There's loads of dynamics in the actual performance of it as well. Loved it. It's absolutely superb.
Relating back to the arts, it's about all the artists that have died in poverty, like Charlie Parker, William Blake, Edgar Allan Poe. They all died without a penny to their name. Oscar Wilde, Vincent van Gogh, all broke because nobody values the arts until people are dead. And like Nick Drake never made a penny while he's alive. Now so people don't value artists and art enough.
Yeah, until they're gone.
Yeah, it's true.
Now, the Wooden Faces. This is a project you've been involved in recently. Can you just tell us what's going on there?
It was it's now a band. We've recruited a bass player, and we're literally editing a video together that's going to be released in the next couple of days. And we are going to do live shows when live music comes back. But it started off as an argument between me and a producer from the Northeast that was working in Blast, and we were in the Tanner's Arms, and they had one of those big 2-inch 24-track Studer machines in Blast, and I was going, "Oh, you should fire that up, man." And he's going, "Oh, we don't need it," and I was going, "Oh, you should recording the tape is so much better than recording on the computers. It's real sound." He was going, "I can do anything on a computer that a tape machine could do." So we were going to fire the thing up in Blast, but we didn't. We ended up borrowing an 8-track machine and making our own dual studio and recording the same album 2 ways with the signal split, mixing one down completely analog so it never got turned into digital information, and one down digitally with all the bells and whistles and editing. And so you get a cassette, which is a completely analog version of the same performance, and then a digital download, which you get WAVs of a digitally mixed and mastered version of the album. And then you can listen to the two and decide which one you prefer.
Yeah, fabulous. It sounds really, really interesting. I look forward to hearing that. You've got a venue, the Peacock Pub, down in, is it in Stockton?
It's in Sunderland.
It's in Sunderland.
Wow. Myself and Barry from the Futureheads, they're a Sunderland-based band. We co-own it, and it's got a bar, restaurant on the bottom, 220 capacity music venue in the middle, and we're just in the process of putting a recording studio, and there'll be a music school run out of the top where we teach music degrees, music industry degrees. That's
absolutely brilliant. I'll definitely pop down and have a look around. It sounds great. And
we've got some good gigs coming up if things get back. We've got Dr. Feelgood booked in November. We've got Tom Hingley and the Carpets, the lead singer in Spiral Carpets, coming up in October, hopefully, if all this is okay. We've got the lead singer of TerrorVision booked in for August, but don't know whether that's going to happen at this point.
That sounds really good. And tremendous to have something like that in Sunderland as well. Awesome. Last question about Infant Hercules, because I know there's a choir in Tyneside of all men.
Yeah.
And I know Mick McGraw from the Wildcats of Kilkenny was involved in instrumental and setting it up. You've been involved with that too.
I'm not involved with the band, but I've got up because he tends to play around Christmas, and really, really close to Christmas. He always does the 23rd or 22nd, and it's usually I'll get back from tour when you're in a touring band. You usually play and you get back on the 20th or whatever, and then it's time to have a few pints in your hometown. So I've joined them on stage a load of times around Christmas, and I just got up and sung and played, because I play a bit of mandolin and a bit of banjo, and I played a bit of electric guitar for them because they don't seem to have an electric guitar in the band a lot. I think, your brother plays a bit of banjo and drums like a demon. But yeah, I just sort of joined them as a guest, like a few times. Yeah, great crack. But then, the choir was like a mental health thing for me. I didn't have any mates, and I was just doing music for money, and I didn't really like music at the time. So I just went down and sang just for the sake of singing, and it really, really improved my mood.
Tremendous. Right, we're running out of time. Is there any chance of you giving us a little song?
Yeah, tune, yeah. This is like a little autobiographical tune called Running. I believe you're a bit of a runner yourself, so I'll do this for you. My daddy played guitar in a band and went to work most nights. My mother stayed at home and made sure that we all grew up right. And they both say that I grew up just a little too fast. But that's what comes from living in a city like Belfast. Running, 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 running. Running, 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 running. Running, 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 running. I'm running. My sister went to college, she'd always done so well at school. Studied hard and never thought to worry about being cool. Sometimes I wish I was a little more like her, but I'm not. I just hit the grind running, and now running's all that I've got. Running, 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 running. Running, 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 running. Running, 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 running. I'm running. My brother got a job and worked till he almost broke his back. I just hit the road and knew I'd never look back. I ran through most of Europe and the USA. I fell in love with New York City, I've been there till this day. Running, 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 running. Running, 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 running. Running, 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 running. I'm running. Running. Running.
Superb. Fantastic, that, Dan. I'll be singing that when I'm running later on today. I'll be out there and I'll be in my head.
Hear this on Spotify. Knock yourself out.
Okay, thank you very much everyone for watching or listening to our very first Tyneside Irish Cultural Society podcast. It's been a pleasure presenting this. Hope you've enjoyed it and found it useful. Take care everyone.